Oh. Guess it's time to move up. Did 13 last week. That was just shit, I already lost count. 15, 14 and a half. I think I'm gonna move up next week. I'll stay here for now, move up next week for sure. In my schedule, I don't have any planned rest days, and a lot of times people see, especially coaches or people that actually know what they're doing, see that and they're like, dude, you need to take rest days, because I probably lift, I don't know, 6.5 days a week, probably take an intentional rest day a couple times a month. But the reason I very, very rarely take intentional rest days is because life gets in the way, and life forces you to take rest days. For example, this weekend, we're leaving. So I'm not going to the gym this weekend. I'm gonna have like 2 or 3 days with absolutely no gym. So that counts, in my mind, as a rest day. Whereas if I were to take 3 days on, 1 day off, and then 1 day on, and then be gone for 3 days, that's basically 5 rest days in the span of a couple weeks. Or I could just continue lifting, not take intentional rest days, and wait until life forces me to have a rest day. So that's kind of the way I think about it. And the reason I don't really take intentional rest days unless I feel like I absolutely need it. And I've said it before, but I always use a timer in between my sets. I tend to lift way too fast, and I'm not here to do cardio, first of all. I'm not here to work on how fast I can recover. I'm here to get the most output as possible. So I definitely have the tendency to lift too fast. So I do a timer, and I usually do at least 2 minutes, between 2 and 3 minutes. And I feel like that's pretty good, where it's not too long, where I'm just wasting a bunch of time and I'm living like a power lifter, where I bring a lawn chair or take a nap in between sets. But I'm also not lifting too quick, where my next set and the rest of my workout suffers because I'm lifting too quick. So a timer is awesome. Definitely keeps you honest both ways for not taking too long or not taking enough of a rest. Another thing I always hear is genetics. And people saying, oh, I just got terrible genetics, I'm never gonna be big. Dude, fuck that. If you keep telling yourself your genetics suck, you're gonna keep believing your genetics suck, and you're gonna live the life that your genetics suck, and you're gonna limit yourself, and you're just gonna live the life of whatever it is you're thinking. My genetics fucking suck. When I was 20, like halfway through college, when I got to college, I was the same height, and I was like 140 pounds. I could see my heartbeat through my chest. And it wasn't until the end of college, I was like 21, before I broke 200. So, and that's like From 18 to now is literally more than 100 pounds ago. So you just got to be more hard-headed, more stubborn than your shitty genetics. You got to learn how to eat, you got to learn how to lift, you got to learn how to rest. Mostly, you got to learn how to eat. So don't limit yourself with those false thoughts that your genetics suck. Either, oh, I'll never be big, or I'll always be fat, or whatever it is you keep telling yourself. Usually that's what remains true. All right, that was a long ass rant. That was been about 2.5, 3 minutes. So I got one more. Shit, I forgot to look. I gotta do how many reps for my 4 set? I did 10 last week. I'm beating 10 for sure. Oi. Almost forgot about my body weight set, but while I'm resting, going back on programming, still feel like people way overcomplicate their lift. Or, you can get a phenomenal chest, back, leg day even with 4 or 5 movements, especially on chest and back. Maybe even only 3 movements. I'm doing 4 for now, but that's plenty. If you lift with enough intensity and close enough to, or even past failure, if you really work hard and you push, just next time you're at the gym, take a look around and watch people's sets, and watch when they finish their set. And think, how many more reps could they have done? How close to failure are they? And then ask yourself, how long have you seen this person? How long have they been in the gym? And then the real question is, how much progress have they made? Because I guarantee you that if you go to the gym and you do 2 exercises, 1 set each, to absolute failure, absolute failure, you do more in 2 sets than 90% of people do in the gym when they're there for an hour. So it's not about how fancy your lift is, how fancy your program is, how many sets, how many exercises, how cool it's how fucking hard you push and how close to failure you actually get, and if you give your reason a body to change. That being said, I'm gonna shut up and try to do what I'm talking about. Try not to be a bitch here. Oh. Come on, come on. Oh. Still on the fence about these ankle 90s things. They're super comfy on my wrist. Not like awkwardly underhand, but something new to get used to. Still punching it out, still trying it out. And I wish this cable was a little bit shorter, god damn it. Oh. That's feeling a little better. I went up 30 pounds from last week. That's still a lot of reps. Typically, after the first couple weeks of figuring out my new program, typically my rule of thumb is if I can do 10 reps, it's not heavy enough, and I go up. And I go up enough to where I go from 11 or 12, whatever it is. I want to be able to do at least 5. Because again, we're doing hypertrophy and size here. I'm not a power lifter, so I at least want to keep it between the 5 and 10 range. I feel like that's what works the best for me for hypertrophy, but still being strong, but not only strength, but not only going for the pump. It's a happy medium for me. All right, let's see how shitty I do at not riding my back out here. Whew. Really wish this cable was a little shorter. Whew. All right, so talking about programming and only doing, 3 to 5 movements. If you're doing that, the only caveat is you got to be pretty particular about what movements you're doing. So I'm doing a pull down, row, a pull down, and a row. And especially, with weighted pull-ups, doing only weighted pull-ups, I feel like I could get away with doing only that and being fine. But matching either a pull up or a pull down and a row and doing 2 each, especially heavy. I'm not doing barbell, but I'm doing cable row and just doing that alone. I feel like mixed with pull up and some sort of bent over row or cable row, that's enough of a workout there. So just adding 2 more of each with lat pull down and dumbbell single arm row, I'm doubling up on 2 really solid movements. So just something to think about if you're used to doing 7 or 8 exercises and all of a sudden you're cutting down to 3 to 5. Just really think about what movements you're doing and why you're doing them and what those are working, what those are getting for you, and make sure you're hitting everything in that body part that you want to in those movements. So when pairing lat pull downs with pull ups that I've already done, I definitely want to choose a very different grip. Doing neutral, I feel like that gets kind of mid to lower lats, and with super wide grip, getting kind of the upper lat. And we're talking, favoring this part of the lat. Both get the whole back, but if I have the choice, I want to favor something a little bit different. Going a little bit heavier this week. I'll do my best to keep the reps close to the same. or maybe even a half more rep. At some point in the lift, especially if you're tracking your rest, 2 or 3 minutes isn't going to be enough. And I've kind of reached that point right now. I feel even at 2.5, 3 minutes, I'm still smoked, and I feel like I could take more. And that's where you kind of need to make that decision of what's more important: time, your recovery, or your output. And there's no wrong choice. It's just a decision that probably needs to be made.
You'll never guess how big our dog is. It's huge. 80 pounds.
Oh my God. All right, I was still feeling pretty good on the lat pull down, so I added another set. Last movement. Last week I did 3 sets. I think I'm gonna still keep it at 3. But I'm going up from 110 to 120. Last week with 110, I did 12 reps. See if we can do at least that. All right, doing something a little bit different for abs, doing leg raises, but I'm already doing feet to bar, as many as I can at least. This time I'm just gonna do pulses with straight legs, and then with bent legs when I can't do that anymore. And the idea with this, unlike, so obviously bringing your toes to the bar is a lot more difficult, but with the pulses, there's always tension on the core, so it's a different kind of difficult.